Uh, where do we start with this? Oh, I don't know. Somewhere. Let's go. Let's do it. Um, yeah. Socially nomadic. What is that exactly? What does that mean? What's the whole meaning behind that? It's something I usually tell people whenever they ask, one of the aspects to describe myself as a person. Uh, it's basically someone that doesn't really tie themselves down to any particular group of people, basically. Because, when you have people that become friends, it's usually like some kind of circle or grouping that tends to form tight knit over time, and maybe there can be fluctuations to it, but for the most part, it just kind of becomes this stable stone in a way. It becomes a point of familiarity, of love, appreciation for one another, and a closeness that can probably be unparalleled. Now, when you're socially nomadic, you may have more individuals that you know more than actual groups of people. Now, it's not to say that can't happen, but you're less chained down to any one group, basically. Maybe you're in several groups, actually. But whatever it is, whether it's because you know a lot of various walks of life from all different kinds of circles and maybe even other lone wanderers, or if you just happen to be involved in many different social circles, that in essence is what being a social nomad is all about. There's advantages, there's disadvantages. I think the most obvious advantage is that it gives you the ability to peek into a lot of different perspectives, many different walks of life. You don't, you're not restricted to just, what your particular friend group experiences and feels, has opinions on, perspectives. And because of that, you're not subject to as much of an echo chamber, basically. You get to see really what's out there a lot more than if you just kept to a particular group of people. So it allows for a lot of diversity of thought, of concepts, and ideas, which can keep the mind fresh and aware of what's really out there. But on the other hand, it makes it difficult to get close with people because, you're not always with the same people all the time. So it can make forming friendships and other such relationships a lot more difficult. Not impossible, certainly not, but just a lot more difficult than it would be if you just stuck with one group of people. So there's that. And it's something that I've just kind of always been for, honestly, all my life. I think it stems from the fact that growing up, I never really had very many friends, and because I was always kind of the odd child, I was very imaginative, always dreaming, thinking, imagining, full of wonder, curiosity, but never really feeling like I had the platform to truly explore that. I mean, there were ways that I did express it. I used to draw when I was younger, and I used to draw things that I particularly liked, but it it was nice for a time, but after a while, I felt it wasn't something I wanted to do. I did a lot of writing, a lot of role playing back then, especially when I got into my later teen years. And that was fun. That produced a lot of ideas, a lot of concepts, a lot of what this character is all about, and the universe that it exists in all stemmed from. So much of that changed over the years, though. There was some of my earlier stuff was pretty cringeworthy, but I mean that's expected. I mean, when you're that young and it's not very well experienced with writing and whatever. So I mean, at least over time I realized that and found ways to evolve it and improve upon that. Kind of where it is today. But anyway, but yeah, growing up was hard. I grew up in the middle of practically nowhere. I had a class of like 40 some people. That's it. That was literally it. It wasn't until later when my mom and I moved into a city did I really understand the scope of that. Because at the time, 40 or so people just seemed pretty normal for class size for my grade. And then once I did move into the city later, it became about 400. So about 10 times the size, and oh, that was something to get used to. I think it's another thing that made it difficult too was just the small amount of people I knew, just being the person I was. I was pretty mature for my age. I definitely grew up a lot quicker than most people. I often just could not understand the antics and immaturity that a lot of my classmates possessed at the time, and I think that's how you know. I was just not really finding very many people that kind of fit the same intellectual level and maturity level that I did. And then when I did move in more into the city and had to adjust to just how much bigger, how many more people there were. I'm sure to some people even 400 doesn't seem like a lot, but again, coming from someone who was used to 40 or so, it was a big difference. Yeah, I mean, just when I was, you know, establishing some friendships at the old place, that move and losing those friends, or at least making it more difficult to keep in touch, definitely kind of put a bit of a wrench in that. But eventually, I would come to know other people in this new place, this new town, this new city. But it'd only be about 3 years before I graduate, because when we moved up there, I was entering my 10th grade, so there wasn't very much left anyway. So, and because of that, it didn't give me a lot of chance and opportunity to really see, who was out there. And then I think it was 5 years after that, I ended up moving out from the state completely. I grew up in Western New York, and now I'm here in Wisconsin. And that's where I've been ever since late 2004. So again, another thing that just really got in the way of knowing people, or at least keeping in touch with them. And it just got to the point where, as I got older and it became more accessible, I ended up having a lot of friends online, a lot more online. And it's just so much easier to meet people there and to find people of certain interest. And that's where eventually I would run into the furry fandom. Uh, some people get into it through pretty dirty reasons. They find, porn of it or whatever, and they like that, and it's kind of draws them in. But I was part of the crowd that just legitimately thought that it was cool. Anthropomorphic characters just seemed really neat, conceptually, aesthetically. And how I fell into that was, it was late 1998. Shut up, I know I'm old. And I was looking for like a new online game to play, and I was looking through like this listing of different ones, and Furcadia for whatever reason caught my eye. I'm like, okay, I don't know what this is, but it looks like it could be interesting. To my surprise, it wasn't really so much of a game as it was just like a social platform. For those of you that don't know, Furcadia was a pretty old, well, I just said it was an old social platform where basically furries could get together and just role play, chat, build worlds, explore them, stuff like that. And Furcadia certainly isn't the oldest form of a social platform for furries. There have been other things even older than that I never really partook into. But things like tapestries, I think it was what it was called. It was one of the old, I guess they call them muds or whatever. I think that's the correct term, which stood for multi-user dungeon. It basically, what it was doing was taking like a primitive text entry kind of thing where you would navigate around by I guess typing certain commands and whatnot and interacting with things that way, and everything was in text. Like you were given text descriptions for things and whatnot. So and the idea is that a multi-user dungeon would allow you to basically kind of navigate like how really old role-playing games were at the time, where you just were just all text-based. You're like, you are in the middle of a forest and there are 4 paths that lead away from your current clearing. One that goes to the north, one that goes to the west, to the east, and finally to the south. As you look around, you notice that there are various ruins dotting the land. What will you do? Do you decide to go down one of the paths, or do you explore the local ruins in hopes to find something of interest? Stuff like that. And so Furcadia was considered to be a Gmod, which would be a graphical multi-user dungeon at the time. Because while you could do typing and stuff like that, and sometimes you get descriptions through text and whatnot, the actual world and the people and all that were represented graphically on an isometric top-down element presentation, and you could just navigate around with that and whatnot. So yeah, I just thought it was really cool, and that was kind of my early stages of getting into the fandom. I didn't really understand what it was. I didn't really know it was a fandom or anything like that until over, however long, and I'm like, oh, so these are called furries, or anthropomorphic characters, or anthro or whatever, and it's just animals that have human-like characteristics. It's almost like you're taking like best of both worlds basically, and just combining them into a really cool concept. Okay, that's neat. why is this artwork so hot? You know, um, I mean, hey, I was there too, even though I didn't come into it for those reasons. It was more wholesome reasons. I mean, inevitably you get exposed to it, and you know, some people really find that to be attractive. Some people just are like, indifferent towards it or whatever, or maybe just don't like it much at all. But I definitely liked it. I mean, it's nice, it's different, but that's I don't know. The fandom back then was a lot more cohesive, not as spread out as it is now. But I get, that's something that just happens. I feel with anything that gets large, because I always tell people like, you know, the fewer people we have, the easier it is to maintain cohesion. Which is to say, you mesh with each other. There's a connection there, or at least that is to say, like, if you get certain people together, they have some kind of foundation of interest that they can share. That's what can certainly do. I don't want to make it seem like you can just do that with any random people. This is more like a preset sort of thing. Um, so, because the foundation of this fandom came from people that had similar interests in anthropomorphic arts and concepts. So there it was. That was the initial seed. And, you know, there were probably, there was some definite early groups back then that were pretty small, but very close and tight knit together because they had to be. There was not really anyone else. And when you establish a common bond like that, it becomes precious. And when you don't have very many others that you can share that with, it kind of also reinforces that. You can't just like spread your wings out and look for others because they just didn't really exist or they're very difficult to find. So naturally you tended to cling to that because you didn't have anywhere else to go, no one else to go to that would understand that. And that's why the basis of fandoms in the early days are very important and can seem very tight-knit and very close. But, of course, given time, as they get older, or not older, but larger, that cohesion gets tested. Because now suddenly, it's harder to have those commonalities. And there's a lot of factors here, because now you have more options of people to hang out with and to know, oh, this person was okay, but I couldn't really, get along with them in the same ways I could this other person because they love board games and I like board games, and that's really cool. I mean, that's I like that a lot. I like this person. They like board games. You know, um, so there's more diversity, so there's less reason to like stick to any particular group of people, and plus like it's hard to keep a lot of people together anyway because of those differences. People may not mesh as well. Personality clashes or whatever, or interests, ideals, whatever the case may be, that can make it difficult to maintain that. So yeah, the more people you throw in the mix, the harder it is to maintain that cohesion. And that's definitely what happened to the fandom over time, is we start to get a lot less closer with each other. And that definitely has been the case over the years. Now, there's nothing inherently wrong with this, but it is a feature and a characteristic of having the fandom get larger over time, like it has. And because of it, there's a lot more denominations of interests and ideals and beliefs, blah, 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 just as we had mentioned just a moment ago. And because of that, you're going to get all kinds. Even in a fandom that once had the the commonality of the anthropomorphic being that established baseline interest that they all shared. And while obviously that can be true to some degree to this day, it's not enough because there's just a lot more on the plate now, a lot more to consider. So I guess through all that, I've seen a lot of people come and go in my life. So I guess I'm kind of used to like people almost kind of coming in and out like a revolving door. Which, I mean, as unfortunate as to refer to it as that, it's kind of the truth of the matter. I am lucky that there have been some people that have stuck with me and have been there for years, actually. There's some people I've known for a while. Not very many, but they have stuck with me through and through. But those are rare. Usually, I mean, sometimes, it may be a few years and that's it. Don't really see them anymore. And, that's fine. It's not to say that it could have been for any bad reason. It's just sometimes life gets in the way, one reason or another. Responsibilities, changes of life and priorities, situations, circumstances, whatever. Unfortunately, sometimes people are just flaky, fake, unreliable. And sometimes I'm just letting them go because I don't see the value of maintaining that friendship anymore. And I'm not about that. I also, as you get older, you really want a lot more stability and reliability in your friends because you just get tired of the bullshit. And don't get me wrong, I love to meet new people. I'm always open to meeting new people. Because, again, social nomad. It's kind of in my nature to get to know new walks of life, new faces, see what they're about, what makes them tick, what are their ideals, their beliefs, what are they made of, what's their story, what's their ambitions, their drives, passions, what makes them who they are as an individual. Because everyone's different in their own way. Every single person is. That's beautiful. But also challenging. Because as individuals, we need to remember that that is what we are at the end of the day. And because of it, no one else lives in our own head but us. And everyone is just doing what they think is best at the end of the day. No matter how good or bad or anything in between of a person they may seem, it's just they're just doing what they think that they need to do to get through this life. We may not always agree. We may not always see eye to eye. But when you take a step back and realize that that's really what it comes down to, people aren't always as sinister or mean or ill-regarded or whatever as they may seem. I mean, sure, sometimes you get some really bad apples, and it's pretty obvious when you get a bad apple, but for the most part, people are just okay. They're not, like, out to, like, do anything malicious. Um, they're not, like, some great bane on humanity. And on the other end of the spectrum, they're not like a hero or doing anything miraculous usually. And there's extremes to these, and they exist, absolutely. But that's the thing, those are extremes. There are people that do have a particular notoriety to them. But that's not everybody. It's that butterfly effect of, just being in the right place at the right time with the right knowledge. It just all lines up in just such a way that they just kind of earn it. And, good on them. Or maybe not if it's not for good reasons, but it's just, we just need to stop worrying so much about other people and what they're doing. And it's not to say that, like, we should just ignore certain signs or things that can be concerning. But, like, just when I say this, I mean as like a general, like, perspective. Like, who cares, if this person likes pineapple on pizza? Who cares if this person watches anime like almost every day and does almost nothing else? Who cares if, like, this person's idea of just having fun is going from bar to bar and drinking their ass under the table? The point being is that everyone is just trying to do what they can to find some sense of contentment and happiness in their lives. And why the hell that we or anyone that would want to go out of their way to take this sandcastle that this person built up and just knock it over is just the most senseless, selfish, and just utterly disrespectful thing that you could do to a person. Why would you waste your time and energy on something like that, when clearly the better thing to do is if you actually did something for yourself that didn't impact others in such a negative fashion, and to actually promote a sense of community, respect, and whatever other word I can't even think of right now. Let's get cozy. I was already kind of cozy, but let's re-cozy the cozy. Yes, love that. All right. I don't know. It baffles me why some people just basically just seem to have nothing better to do than to just make other people's lives miserable. How wonderful it must be for you to just have that luxury. How wonderful. But, you have to put yourself in the perspective of others. Because you wouldn't want someone to come around and knock over your sandcastle. You wouldn't want someone to piss in your Cheerios. Or, I don't know, checks. Total with red berries. Oh, you're one of those nature's path motherfuckers, aren't you? fucking Cascadian Farms head ass, maybe? With your. You know what? It's okay. Um. But whatever it is, I mean. People are just trying to live their lives best they can. Life's too short to be just bullshitting around with others and ruining that. It's so senseless. It's I just don't understand the drive. Okay, maybe your life is not quite the way you wanted it to be, and you kind of have this sort of selfish notion of like, you know what, if I can't have this good life, nobody fucking can. I'm just gonna watch the world burn down and just who gives a fucking shit. Yeah, maybe you got a chip on your shoulder or something. Something that just got so deep into your core that it's just like vitriol. It's like poison, just black ink just stained through your heart. And you just don't, you just can't let that go. You just can't find a way to just forgive and forget whatever it is. And yeah, some people have it rough. Unfairly so. I literally just witnessed a friend of mine from across the ocean have to deal with their own bullshit of stuff that it's at the point where they just want to leave this world. And that's just, that's hard. That is so hard to watch. Watching a friend struggle and you feel helpless to it. But you know what? Despite that, you know, they're not going to go out of their way to make anyone else's life, miserable just because of that. So, while I understand sometimes it's at least a reason for the fuel to the fire, it doesn't have to be. I think anyone's capable of being a decent person, given the right circumstances. And no, you don't have to be good or great, just decent. And that's how most people are. They're okay. And that's fine. Everyone's got their flaws, their characteristics, their strengths and weaknesses. We're not perfect beings. And we need to remember that. But yeah, I'm tired of chasing after people. And it feels like sometimes I do with certain individuals. You know, I'll put in the effort where I need to. But if I'm not getting that back, and you know what, I'll even accept like half the effort back. At least something. Then I just don't see the point in continuing to put energy into that. And I don't know. I'm not sure what else to really say to that. That's just, like, if you really cared, if you really enjoyed my company and everything about me, you would show it more. And I realize that sometimes things get in the way, you know. I've been there. But even then, you'd find some way to remind those that you really care about and show them that in some way, even if it's just a hi once in a while. Just a little reminder that you care about them and love them dearly. I realize sometimes it's not done maliciously. Sometimes people just kind of lose sight of that and kind of forget about it. They just kind of put it on the wayside, and then they realize, oh, I really haven't been expressing that appreciation to my friends as much as I should. Sometimes it happens when things are a little too late. I would have over 1,000 people on this platform if I never removed anybody. I usually am around 200 or so, about 200. Because again, I'm always open to meeting new people, but if it seems that it doesn't really go anywhere, then, so be it. And it's okay. But I guess that's the other reason why it's been very difficult for me to find companionship too. And I'm honestly just at the point where, like, I don't, it's not that I really need, like, something that I would consider an actual partner or anything like that. Just even a companionship would be fine by me. I'm just tired of being lonely. I really am. And I try to rationalize as much as I can, and I feel because of that I at least can function as a person. It's not like it inhibits me. Even when I was reaching my emotional lows because of this, I still got my sleep. I still ate. I still exercised. I still went to work. Those are all crucial things that I don't deprive myself of, even when I hit my lows, because it's important to take care of those things. But still, it's just, it gets to me sometimes. But, being a social nomad, the furry fandom, being gay, and just having the interests that I do and personality that I have and the way I look at just relationships, I really have my odds against me. I'm 42 as of the recording of this video, and I know there's some younger folks out there that like older folks like me, but it definitely starts to really limit and really decrease the size of the pool they have to work with. So, I have people that tell me, oh, you'll find somebody one day. Really? How do you know that? You don't know that. Don't promise that. Don't. It's a nice thing to say, but you're putting a guarantee on something that really doesn't have any definitive guarantee. There have been people that went their whole lives and never getting into a relationship, or at least one that would be significant. It really doesn't always happen that way, especially with the circumstances I have. It just makes it even harder. You lose sense of naivety as you get older, and you recognize red flags a lot more often, and yeah, it's a hard pass on that one, buddy. You're not going into that stuff blind anymore. You used to, because you didn't know any better. Now you do. You've had that experience through and through. You know what to look for. And let me tell you, this fandom is trash. It really is. It's got its good points, though, don't get me wrong. I mean, I wouldn't associate myself with this fandom if I felt like it was all trash. It's just, it's like any fandom, really. There's a rabbit hole there, and, well, I would akin it more to that of a black hole, really. Because there's an event horizon. There's a point of no return to that if you get so deep into it, you just get sucked right into it, and good luck trying to get out of the pit of that. That's why I stay on the more the edge of it, just dipping my feet in, enjoying it, and not really caring to get any much more involved in it than that. Again, I just thought it was a cool thing to get into. But a lot of the culture and attitudes, and there's this fandom needs some work in that regard as a whole. There's some good people in here, though, for sure, and I've definitely met them. But the immaturity and high school drama, and you know what it is. It's because this fandom is so accepting and welcoming of, misfits and outcasts that, you kind of tend to get the lowest of the low. Tend to. Not always. But because of that, you just are subject to just people that have been suppressed, deprived, shunned, just broken individuals that once they get that feel and taste of acceptance and recognition that they've never had before, oh, it's like an adrenaline rush. And next thing you know, they get wrapped up right in that because it's a cozy blanket that you just don't want to let go of. Because, God forbid, Now that you're in that, why would you want to do anything to compromise and lose that? And you're going to do anything you can to keep hold of it. That's the poison that fame and recognition can bring if you're not careful. It's just unreal how a lot of these people just kind of become the monster that they grew to hate. How the tables turn sometimes. That's why I am glad that I'm not popular or anything like that, because I just don't want to tango with that sort of thing. Plus, it's just cozier to be more on the edge of things. I don't need all that recognition, all that attention. It's exhausting. Need room to breathe. Oh, but some people, they'll just gobble it right up, won't they? And not let go of it. Power. Power comes with that sort of thing, and power always can really bend our sense of morality and just value. I've seen people just abuse it a little too much and just get too full of themselves as a result. It's really unfortunate. Yeah, this fandom isn't great. But to be fair, it is a mixed bag of good and bad and everything in between. That's not to say that it is absolutely, definitively bad. But it definitely is fair to say that it needs some fucking work. Like, honestly. Too superficial. Which, I mean, makes sense. It makes sense that a lot of people in this fandom are pretty superficial. It's kind of interesting. I always grew up on the ideal of, just be yourself and let your own natural beauty just show. In this fandom, it's the other way around. Nah, just cover yourself up. Just hide behind the mask of whatever persona you are. Just pretend that you're someone that you actually want to be, rather than actually work on yourself as a person to achieve that. Because masks are so much easier to put on. Costumes, things that disguise, hide away the true nature of someone you don't want to be. Shameful. I don't blame people for doing that. I understand the why. Absolutely. It's hard to face yourself and find ways to come to terms and work on you as a person, rather than put on some gaudy thing that you think patches up the person that you are. All you're doing is putting paint on shit. Because on the inside, you're still the same person you always were. And here's the thing, like, I tell people that, yeah, this is just a shell at the end of the day. This character, this whole thing conceptually doesn't really matter. Sure, it's an expression. It's a sense of some sort of identification, but beyond that, I don't base myself around whatever this is. What I am inside is what ultimately matters. This doesn't matter at all. Not in the least. That's why you see me in different forms, different avatars. I'm limitless. I have no body that chains and binds me. My soul has no bounds other than what I am as a person. It doesn't matter what shell I wear. I will always be the same, through and true. And that shows. Because anyone that knows me realizes that I'm not here to just beat around the bush and hide behind false, just false veils or lies and deceptions and putting on a performance for the sake of trying to guise the true nature within. No. What you see is what you get. Whether on here, real life, or whatever form I take. Doesn't matter. And when I see a true nature within you, or someone I care about, the same holds true there as well. It's because I see something inside that I find truly beautiful. And at that point, the shell that you have also bears little significance. If I could just be and ascend to be a being of light, that's what I would want. Some people want to be their personas or whatever, and good on you if you want to do that, but not me. I just want to be a true being of purity that can just be whatever they want, be anywhere they want, see whatever they wish, truly explore what this universe is all about, limitless, truly admire and take in what it is. Wouldn't that be something? But no, some people are too selfish and don't want to see the bigger picture of things. They just want to feel good, feel comfortable, feel like themselves. We're going backwards. We need to stop chaining ourselves too much to the superficial. But I think it's too late for that. whatever. So, yeah, there's a lot of that in this fandom. And it gets tiring after a while. But, you do you at the end of the day. I'm not going to get in the way of that. Because again, why should I get in the way of your happiness? If that's what really makes you happy at the end of the day. But I'm just thinking about more than just me. I'm thinking about this as a species-wide thing. All of humanity. All of us could do a little more growing up. A little more introspective. A little more compassion and forgiveness and understanding. I just want to have someone I could hold and share that with. I don't know why that's so hard to ask. I'm thankful for the people I have in my life, but I don't always know who to talk to about these sort of things, because it's not... I'm the one. I'm usually the one that has the ear, the shoulder, right? I'm used to being the one that listens to people, and you better believe I will be all the more willing to listen and to be there if you need it. But boy, is it far more difficult for me to know always who I can turn to for things. And it's, I know there's people that offer, and I know that deep down they really do want to do that and whatever, but, and yeah, I have. There have been times I have reached out when I feel I can, and I know who I can entrust to certain topics or whatever, but some things just, I don't know, they're just a little more difficult to try to figure out. And I end up doing videos like these, because at least that way I can talk to the ether. Well, technically I'm talking to you right now, I guess. And thank you for being with me on this, if you've been with me this far. I know it's, not exactly the most entertaining thing to just, listen to someone just rant on about their bullshit, but obviously you must care if you're sticking around this long. And if you have, you're probably one of the ones I definitely appreciate, so. But that goes without saying. I think you realize that. Or maybe you're just a stranger that I don't really know that's just curious, just wanted to take a moment to peer into the life of this person, this entity, and see what they're about, see what they're going through, what they're thinking about. Because maybe you're the person that's the social nomad trying to glimpse upon the face of another just for a moment. See what they're made of, what their story is, what they've got to say. Yeah. Yeah, being socially nomadic is rough sometimes. I just, cause I see, cause you know it. You'll know it when you see it. When you see that group of friends, those people that are just so interwoven with one another. It just, it's so vibrant. You can feel it. It's palatable or palpable even. And it's just, I, but at what cost? Sure, I could learn to settle in with a small group like that and really allow that to grow into something that close. But at the risk of limiting my worldview and perspectives of others is unfortunately not a very attractive factor to me. So, here we are. Here we fucking are. I have this fandom. I don't know. It's cool, but it's got too much immature fuckheads in it. This fandom could die tonight and I wouldn't feel a damn thing. Do a lot of people a favor, actually. I just... It's just ridiculous. But I'm not going to say salt the earth without there at least being the potential new growth. Because from the ashes always rise something anew. After all. Hmm. Well, maybe that's enough for now. So, in conclusion, I'm always moving around between friends. I wish I had a sense of community with a group of friends. I guess I kind of do have that though already. I have been kind of getting that from one group in particular. But I don't know. I need some that is more deep in here. Whatever that is. Furry fandom's cool, but full of trashy people that I wouldn't feel bad if they all just died in the fire. Yep. I'm probably going to get some comments about that. Well, Probably not. But if I do, I think that's only just proving my point. Because if you feel the least bit offended by that comment, there's a good chance you're probably part of the problem. And if you don't, then you probably understand it just as well as I do. And I'm still lonely. Cool. That's a thing too. But don't get me wrong. I love my friends. So much. I really do. Don't ever let me be alone. And if I need you, be there for me. It means a lot. I can't emphasize that enough. And thank you for doing that for me, if you have. I know I can come off a certain way at times, but I like to think I have a pretty good heart. I'm sorry if I'm not always as approachable as I could be. I apparently some people are, I don't know, just intimidated by me. I guess I understand, but I'm pretty approachable, I promise. I just want to be able to just curl up with somebody and feel loved and respected, that's all. Some people I can play board games with, and some PC games, and engage in my little projects that I do, my filming stuff I partake in. These are my little things that mean a lot to me, and I just want people to share those with, so I don't feel so alone. And I'm still hoping that just maybe I'll find someone that can appreciate me as a person. 'Cause fucking hell, man, why hasn't someone already? I hope I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm just doing like anyone else what I can. That I'm not here to make anyone feel bad or make anyone upset, or it's not in my core to ever do that, no matter how I feel. You could be you could be someone I don't even really like, and I still wouldn't wish any ill on you. It's not who I am. I'm a pretty loving and caring person, and I know sometimes I don't, maybe don't always show that as well as I could, but that's that's really it. Okay, I guess that's it.